Hey tubers, welcome back for another adventure. Just back from my trip down to South Central Pennsylvania. I hit Williams Grove and Morningstar flea markets, and here's some of the treasures I came up with. Didn't bring too much back, didn't bring much back at all. A few of the vendors I normally do quite a bit of business with just weren't there. So it makes it hard to buy from them, obviously. The other thing is, on Saturday for Morningstar, the weather was kind of rainy, so a lot of the outside, well, most of the outside vendors were not there. And Candy, the hardware person, didn't open, and the person I normally get Amazon returns, they closed up the business. And the person with the $10 carburetors and a bunch of all-terrain vehicle stuff and all, he closed up his business. So it's getting a little harder to strike the deals, but I did manage to find some interesting stuff. Let's start with the cheap stuff. All this stuff here was 50 cents or less per piece. You're probably looking at these going, why are you buying filament Edison style light bulbs? I actually use those to keep a corner of the garage that gets cold and the pipes may freeze warm. So that's what I use those for, as heaters. But these blue lights, LED, marker lights, LED fuses. These are the higher current version USB power cords, heavy duty fuses. So all this stuff, rack for hanging things, all this stuff was 50 cents or less. The guy who does truck stop returns was there, so these were all $1 each. Little frying pan you plug into a 12-volt plug. It's, Teflon coated, it's got the lid, the whole shoot match. Thought that was interesting, for camping in your car, perhaps, see if it even works. This guy here, an oversized load, you put it on the back of your truck, but quite honestly, the rope that comes with it, and this as a tarp, that's worth $1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I spent $5 with him. The most expensive single item I bought was this tail light. I gave him $5 for it. It came in the package. It's new, no cracks, none of that kind of stuff. I figure that's always handy with my hoard of all-terrain vehicles. Mason's wire. This is used to bind together rebarb before you pour concrete. Anyway, always handy. I paid $1 for that. Then the dog chain. This was $1. I need to suspend something from the ceiling in the basement. So when I saw that, I grabbed it. I figured, oh, good, that'll help me suspend that shelf. And lastly, rope, $2. This is normally one of those $5.99, $6.99 items, Blue Hawk. I always keep some of this around. Believe it or not, from being out in the sun, it does deteriorate. So I find keeping a fresh package around is always helpful. This was the largest single package of stuff that I bought. All of this together was $10. This is, tabletop practice tree, for drag racing. It's not quite complete. It didn't come with the power supply or a little plunger thing. You could see how the lights count down and then, takes off. These buttons don't do anything. It looks like, you put the power supply on it, and I could fake that. And there's a plunger that plugs into this side, and you step down on it. I guess it'll give you from as it counts down. It'll tell you if you jumped the green light, so to speak, or how long it took you from when it went green till you hit the plunger. I'm not quite sure that translates it to how quickly, you know, if you're on an automatic, that you release the brake and the thing takes off, or release the transmission lock and it takes off, or how quickly you gun the engine and dump the clutch and take off. But anyway, I thought it was interesting, and it came with the pile, it came with instructions. Also, in a bunch of this electronic stuff, these are the probes for an oscilloscope. That's a heating element. A lot of times these are handy for electrical loads, right? If you need to dump a battery pack into something, 12 volts, it could take it. These are like LED lights. There's a couple of those. You know, pliers, stickers for labeling. This is metric, perfect size to bolt the carburetor to an engine. That's a line and a wire. You know, fuses, chisels. I frequently use these for cleaning up gasket surfaces gently. Don't want to damage the metal. You know, somebody needs their tooth removed. I'm always grabbing interesting pliers, right? Water pump pliers. I'm not sure who. Just says chrome veluneum. It doesn't say who made those. Yeah, but just, you know, kind of interesting and unique stuff. I'm not quite sure what this tool does for a living, and I'm not sure it wasn't altered at some point. But a lot of times you got to remove something or pry something, or I just saw it and it said, oh, that's a unique tool that could be handy. This is plastic. I think it's only a letter opener, but once again, I thought it was interesting. So, I mean, this is how I get stuff, right? I call those ugly alligator clips. Looks like it's fused. That's LED. And in one of these bags were a bunch of soldering iron tips. That one, maybe this one. You can see them right there. So anyway, that whole pile was $10. How could you let that go for that money? Next up, this channel lock 26-inch toolbox. $2. I couldn't pass it up. I was kind of walking by and I heard somebody negotiating it, and he offered it to someone else for a couple of bucks. And the guy said, no, I got too much to carry. And when I looked and saw and heard, I said, could anyone have it for $2? And he said, yeah. And I said, cool. So I obviously grabbed it. Came with a few things in here. You know, some bits, some Allens, you know. So it came with that stuff. There was a lot more to it. When I got it home, I offered it to my son and said, yo, take whatever you want. But, you know, Stanley sheetrock blade, more sheetrock blades, you know, tips, hardware, bits, battery tester, you know. It just came with like a bunch of loose stuff. You could see, you know, it really scratched glasses. Yeah, and once again, my son also grabbed a bunch of things out of that. I guess that's for pulling rope, you know, marker. So, anyway, $2. How could you pass that up for $2? It's one of those toolboxes that is strong enough so you can actually stand on it. Okay, now for the last few things. This heart is one of those battery-powered extended rotozip tools that right goes into there. You can see the battery. It came with 2 batteries to charge the whole shoot match. I went $20 on it. I figured the batteries might fit something else. Everything seems to hold the charge. It seems to be complete, so I grabbed it. The batteries might fit something else, and that would be real handy, obviously. These cases, I ended up picking up 3 of them. I think I went three of them for $8. He wanted $3 each. The Plano version is a little better if you're buying these. It's always good to have a hinge that slides rather than bends. Some of them are just plastic in the back here, so as you open and close it, eventually the plastic breaks and the top falls off. The latches seem to be a little better too. So anyway, these were 3 for $8, and I gave 1 to my son. While I was out there, I guess you could take the dumpster diver from the kid, but it doesn't work very well with an adult. There was this Tupperware or container on the side of the road with a bunch of other stuff. So we kind of grabbed it and threw it in my son's car. So out of that mess, I got these jumper cables and the container. And in this box was a bunch of electrical stuff. He got most of it. You know, I didn't have a use for it, and he did. So that's how we split the spoils up. But once again, free. Who doesn't love free? And these jumper cables. Let me see if I can't show you the conductor size. I mean, it's pretty decent conductor size, I think. And they're pretty long. So I grabbed them. All the clamps seem to be in pretty good shape. According to my son, the guy regularly puts some pretty cool stuff out, and he's stopped there before. So I guess it's genetic, right? Dumpster diving, always a nose for a good deal. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Flea markets are just waking up. To me, it looks like a lot of people I kind of counted on for doing business with over all the years seem to be somewhat missing. Around here, the last weekend of April, for anybody in the Hudson Valley, is the first Stormville. The weekend after that is Rhinebeck. The weekend after that is Hudson Auction, right? That's always interesting. And then, you know, it just keeps going forward. If one wants to go to something this up and coming weekend out in Connecticut at the Antique Equipment Show there in Kent, they have their Wake Up. There's a certain amount of you know, this kind of stuff there also. It's not the bigger one. The bigger one's in the fall. But anyway, flea market season is starting. You know, put my toe in, and this is what I've come up with so far. Some of it I actually need: the rope, string, the lamps, and some of it just amuses me. So there we are. I want to thank you all for dropping by to watch and comment and subscribe. I need you all to find your happy place and get there. Once again, happy Easter. Thanks to God for all the blessings we enjoy. And remember, feet down, heads up, and make sure you get out and enjoy each and every day. I was asked by one person, what does it even mean, you know, heads up, feet down? And it's if you're skiing or riding a motorcycle, you want your feet down and you want your head up. The last thing you want is your feet up and your head down, because then the motorcycle or the skis are riding you. All right, take care, folks. Have fun.